What happens when God asks you to temporarily walk away from the very thing you've worked your whole life for? In a world obsessed with finish line, timelines, deadlines, and what's next, today's guest did the unthinkable. She pressed pause. Dr. Aliza Jimenez-Garcia was on track, rising, almost there, until a divine nudge asked her to surrender what made sense and trust what didn't. People were baffled with her decision. She called it faith. And in that sacred detour, she didn't lose her way. She found her voice, her healing, and her purpose. This episode is for every overachiever who's ever been afraid to stop, every heart who's wrestled with delay, and every soul who needs the reminder God's timeline is never late. Welcome to the Life to the podcast, where we talk about the things most people avoid: cancer, grief, and dying, and the radical act of healing. Here we hold space for healing, not just surviving. I'm your host, Charity, and today's episode is something truly special. What if the path to peace meant letting go of the very thing you worked your whole life for? Today on the Life to the podcast, I'm honored to sit with a dear friend, Dr. Aliza Jimenez-Garcia, a medical dermatologist, a woman of deep faith, and someone who made a courageous countercultural choice. She's put her residency on hold, not because she was giving up, but because she was giving in to God's call, to divine timing, to rest, and to healing. In a world obsessed with progress and proving, Dr. Aliza's story reminds us that surrender is not weakness. It's strength of the most sacred kind. So if you've ever been in a season of waiting, of not knowing, or being misunderstood for following your inner compass, this conversation is for you. Stay with us, because what she found in the waiting might just be what you need to hear right now. Dr. Aliza, before we talk about the brave decision you put your residency on hold, I'd like to thank you first for taking time out from your very, very busy schedule. Thank you. This is overdue. Thank you for making time for this.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. This is super duper overdue.
Just for perspective, Dora Aliza was my client, but all my clients end up like family. I just want to start with this question. What was life before this chapter? What did a normal week look like for you back then during your residency? Balancing, of course, the pressure of medical school, duty, work, and wife and mom to your two boys.
Yeah, so when I was diagnosed in March 2023, I was in the middle of residency. I was in fact about to finish. So I was already on the third year of my dermatology residency training in a government hospital. And if you think about it, I was already at the finish line.
Yep.
10 months to go, tapos na. My whole journey from studying from nursery onwards, eto na, patapos na. Kasi I already put my residency on hold for a while when I became a full-time mom for about 2 to 3 years. So finally, I was here at the finish line, 10 months to go. I was able to juggle everything kahit it was very, very tough, very difficult. No, I was a mom, I have 2 boys, and we didn't have a lot of help, and it was just me and my husband. And I was able to somehow, push through residency training. But on my 3rd year, my final year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that really shook my world. The way I describe it is, I felt like I was a flying bird. Just happily flying. I'm about to finish. Konti na lang. And then I was shot in mid-air. That was how it felt. As in, shot in mid-air and fell abruptly. My life literally stopped. So I didn't know what to do. What I was used to was, going to work, doing my training. I was enjoying it. I was so excited I was about to finish. And then suddenly, here was cancer. It was so strange to me. I never imagined I would have this diagnosis, let alone at the age of 33.
Yes.
And I felt it was so unfair at first na everyone in my age group or everyone in my training program didn't have to worry about these things. And here I was, as if it wasn't hard enough that I was juggling motherhood and, everything else. And residency. And then here was cancer. So that was really, really tough for me to accept at first. Yeah.
I know that cancer is already a hard thing, but what I notice, having worked in this space for almost 9 years now, that it's harder if the patient is a doctor.
Yes.
And I guess, just to put perspective, because they know more than us normal or mortals do, no? So I always say it's very hard when the patient is a doctor. I guess what your mind can go to 10 different ways because of what you know. Right?
Yes, Ms. Cha, it's also harder to be a patient yourself as a doctor. To sit on the other side of the table this time, it was so hard because you know the numbers. You run all the numbers and the possibilities in your head. So, mas marami ka talagang iniisip. And, you worry about a lot more than the other people.
Yes.
Who don't really have all the numbers in their head.
Yes.
And
so,
all the possibilities.
This is one moment when, ignorance is a bliss for those who do not know the different scenarios, permutations that, a doctor would normally know.
Yeah.
Now, was there a moment when you started to feel the tension between doing what's expected and what your soul was quietly asking for? And I say this because I know that as a person growing up, you were always really the person who wanted to achieve, set goals and achieve it, right? And that was your personality and the reality that you were 10 months away from finishing residency. So talk to us about the tension that you were feeling. Was it internal tension or was it external or was it both?
It was definitely both. Because growing up, kami magkakapatid, we were raised to be, achievers talaga. Kaming magkakapatid, lahat kami honor students since grade school.
Wow.
Yeah, so going to med school, lahat din kami parang, we have this different kind of, motivation to achieve and to finish talaga towards residency.
Yeah.
And then, when I had to pause, because I was sick, I had to focus on myself, I felt that I was also very tired. In fact, kasi I knew that the cancer was just like a symptom. That there was something else going on that I had to face and deal with. That probably, for so many years, I have been working and working, achieving and achieving. I haven't really paused and, just give myself some time to rest. And sometimes that happens, life happens.
Yeah.
and you just, go through the motions, and you don't realize how tired you are and how much you
Correct.
need to rest and
Yeah.
recharge. So that was what happened with me. I knew I needed to take a break. But it was so hard to make the decision because it was outside of the given timeline. That was for me to finish residency. So normally, you finish your residency in 3 years, especially if you're in a government hospital, you have an item. So you're only given a certain amount of time to take a break. So when I was already supposed to go back, I knew I wasn't ready. I didn't have the headspace. I was still doing a lot of, rehab work with my arm because I wasn't able to raise it well after the surgery. I was having pains. And then, other than that, emotionally, I wasn't stable.
Okay.
Because it took time for me to accept what was going on. And I had a pending reconstructive surgery. So, I wasn't in the right headspace to go back. And I wanted to reset my life. So, it took a while for me to accept that was, this is my portion at the time. But I had to go back to work. So, the decision then was, am I going to risk not being able to go back at all? Because that can happen.
Yes, that was a scenario.
Yeah, the scenario was I might not be able to go back at all. I might lose the chance to go back to the program because that can happen.
Yeah.
So the risk was there. The question was I going to take the risk? Was I going to go back to work, go back to the normal life, even when I felt I wasn't ready? And just finish the 5 months or 7 months left. Or should I pause, not knowing if I'll be able to go back? And, that was a very, very tough decision for me to make. And I was so grateful at that time, that I already knew you at the time. I had the chance to bounce off with you the decision, the dilemma I was having. And you helped me even pray for the decision, and find the direction that God wanted me to take at that time.
I was very fortunate to be not just in the front seat when this was unfolding, right? I was walking with Aliza side by side in her journey. And I didn't know the exact risks of the repercussions if she decided to take a pause. But something was really evident, that there was a deeper calling for Aliza not to go through it. And we had to unpack the things that was like, blocking the decision, whatever it was. And it meant that Dr. Aliza had to go deeper into other emotional issues that she went through in life. But what was so amazing was the whole time, given all the information that you had, you really leaned in to your quiet times with God.
Yes.
And really staying attuned to what He wanted to do. And what's difficult in situations like this is when God asks you to do something, a lot of times it doesn't make sense. Diba? Parang like what Dr. Aliza is saying, she could totally lose the chance because
To
it's
be
a
a derma.
government
Yeah.
hospital to be a derma, and it was her lifelong dream. But while I was guiding her, I was also inspired by the courage for you to really let go and just trust God, even if you didn't really understand the total picture of what it will mean for you. And there were a lot of, I would say, persecutions along the way, right? But you continued to soldier on. And the metaphor or the image in my mind is, there were things happening here, but you kept your eyes on the cross.
Yeah.
Parang really staying attuned with how God was literally guiding you through all the difficult decisions. So Can you take us back to that moment when you decided to pause? What was happening inside you? What was a conversation like between you and Dr. Mark Garcia? And spiritually, what really led you to that courageous choice?
You know, Miss Cha, what's funny is that that became, you know, a really amazing year for me.
Wow.
When you take a pause outside of your regular life, the question is, what are you gonna do with that time?
Yeah.
I think that was the more difficult part for me because, you know, it's outside of your routine, where your day is predictable.
Yeah.
Your measures of success, they're there.
Yeah.
But in the time when you rest and pause, what are you gonna do with it?
It's an unfamiliar territory,
Yeah.
right?
And what does rest look like?
Wow.
For somebody who didn't really do it all her life, what did rest look like? So it was really a new kind of life. I had to navigate and learn what it meant. So, you know, it was really good for me to have you to talk to and, you know, discuss really what that might look like for me, because it's different for everybody.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
rest is different for everybody. And it was really good for me to have, you know, at that time, I had a very good church community.
Yes.
So actually, before that full rest, that year off for me, I wasn't really very active in church community in a way that I was really, you know, I was going to
Service.
I was going to service on Sundays, but I was like more of like a Sunday
Goer.
a Sunday Christian. I wasn't really part of the community. And my church kasi at the time, you know, its strength is community. So that was when I had time to join D groups, V groups, and I was introduced to this amazing group in New Manila where, you know, they really treated me like family. And I could really just sit with them and cry with them. They wouldn't say anything.
No
You
judgment.
know, no judgment. They wouldn't even like say, you know what, you're getting better naman, you've done your surgery, your
So
scans
just
look
really
well.
holding space for
Holding
you.
space for me, yeah. And aside from you, I had a husband who was very supportive of my decision to rest. You know, whenever I would ask him, sometimes parang, pwede bang bigyan mo na lang ako ng desisyon? Ikaw na lang mag-decide for me kasi ang hirap nito. But he would always say, it's up to you. You know what's best for you. I will wait for your decision. And he did. And, you know, that really allowed me to choose myself this time. Something I never really did before. But at the same time, I knew this was already, you know, God's nudge pa for me. It's time for you to pause. You know, deal with a lot of things that was going on inside. You know, I had a lot of issues also, and I've been having like some episodes, even before, several years back, I would have episodes of depression and anxiety, and I knew I had to face them this time. And that was like a signal for me to rest and deal with all these things, go through counseling, and, you know, go through also cancer coaching with you, which really, really helped.
Yeah.
And I had time to be, you know, be with people in the same journey as me. I was introduced to a really, you know, funny and lively and bright women in the same journey as me. We call each other best friends. Yeah. And, you know, that has been a really big blessing because even until now that I am cancer-free, we still journey together.
Yes.
Through all our scans, we update each other.
Yeah.
Even update each other about our breakfast. Naglalabanan kami, pa-healthy ang breakfast. So, that season, it was like I was open to an entirely different world.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed it because I met amazing people, amazing souls, amazing people along the way that really helped me get to know myself better outside of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this season was like, who was I outside of that Aliza I knew before? That was a dermatologist, or a
student.
student, or even a mom. Who was I? Stripped of everything. Because, during my surgery, I realized na, lying down before your surgery, you're naked. You have a blanket over you, yeah, but otherwise you're naked. You don't bring anything with you. And that season was like, the question for me was, who are you? Stripped of everything that defines you. Who are you?
Yeah.
Are you happy? Are you joyful about who you really are inside? And that was what I wanted to know at the time, I wanted to get to know really who I was, stripped
Yourself.
of all
Yeah.
my labels.
Yeah. I'm listening to Dr. Aliza like I was not there, but I was actually there. And I want to harvest what you said earlier, that this was a time when you literally let go of all the planned things in your life, which is our world. Goals, I need to be this at a certain time. And yet, Dr. Aliza said, when she finally let go, I mean, really let go of all the dreams that she's worked all her life for, it was the most beautiful season of your life. A testament that our best plans is nothing compared to God's plans for us.
That's why it's so important, our prayer life. Because if I didn't lean in to God's will for me at the time, I wouldn't be able to find joy in it. In that journey, in that season. That season really was about surrender. Surrendering na, Lord, I don't know what this season is gonna bring me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go back to my old life. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, realize my dreams, my plans. But the call then was to just surrender. Even in motherhood, because I was so scared, my biggest fear at the time was, if my cancer was really bad, what will happen to my kids?
Yeah.
What will happen to my family? What will happen to my husband? Who will take care of them? But you know what? During one of my prayer times, sabi sa akin ni Lord, sino ka ba? To say that without you, mapapahamak or hindi magiging okay yung mga anak mo or yung husband mo, diba? So that I was a bit convicted at that time pa nga na parang oo nga, no? I thought so highly of myself that I didn't think that God would take care of them.
That
even
God
without
loved
me.
them more than you do.
Because, ultimately, my children are God's.
Your
my
husband
is God's.
Yeah.
He created them and He promised to take care of them.
I just want to harvest on what Dr. Aliza said earlier, that, while this was a season where she literally had to let go of all the dreams she worked all her life for, she still described it as the best year of her life, which is really a testament that our best plans compared to God's plans for us is really so much better, right? And I really want to honor that process that you went through, because a lot of our audience may be experiencing the same thing. Like, I had to work, but also face the fact that what if I don't make it, right? So maybe our audience is going through that identity crisis, that cancer has really altered my life. But you asking those questions, who am I without all these roles that I took on for myself? I think is such a beautiful process that a lot of us may not find meaning, but in your case, that season of pause, that season of resting, really reintroduced you to yourself, knowing who you are, a warrior, a plain warrior during that season of your life. But I guess what made it richer was the fact that you acknowledge that first and foremost, our identity is really a child of God. Diba? And I saw you struggle through it, but I saw you choosing every day to be really the child of God, following His Father's directions.
And you know what? The gift then was that I had a different kind of relationship with God in that season. So because I embraced who I was in the eyes of God in that season, you know, without all the labels, all the other identities I had, you know, the relationship I had with God at that time was just, it transformed my heart. You know, and my prayers started to change from, Lord, give me the chance to go back to residency. Lord, take this cancer away from me. It changed to, Lord, I just want the joy that comes from you, that I can only find in you. And you know what? I never imagined that I'd be able to say na, buti na lang nagka-cancer ako. Because otherwise, I wouldn't stop and just lean into Him, learn how to surrender everything to Him, and just really, you know, it's like He's just there. I can talk to Him while I'm driving. I can talk to Him while I'm walking. Na parang nandyan lang si Lord like a friend. That I can come to Him anytime with all my thoughts, all my feelings, all my emotions, without having to perform.
Yeah. What a beautiful thing it is to be in that moment where you truly can say you know God. That you don't just know of Him, but you really know Him because you're in constant communion with Him. Now, let's talk about how the people around you responded. We know that Doc Mark was always supportive of your decisions. But the other people around you, I know, were not quite happy. As a matter of fact, some, I would be the one to say it, and not Dr. Aliza, some were very judgmental of your decision. So, when these people around you who didn't quite agree with your decision, did it confuse you? Or did it further strengthen and made you more courageous with the decision that you made?
Yeah. So I didn't expect everyone to understand because cancer is a very different journey.
Yes.
And even between patients, it's different.
It's different.
So it was already a given that not everyone will understand my timeline, my decisions at that time. But yes, there were people who disagreed with taking a pause, getting some rest. It didn't look practical to a lot of people. But you know, that was when really my prayer time came in, that I knew what God wanted me to do at the time. And that was what mattered more to me at the time. I knew that God would take care of me after this. He assured me that He would take care of me after this pause, after this whole cancer ordeal, that He would take care of me.
Yeah.
So I just leaned into that. You know, it wasn't easy, of course. You know, the word surrender is so easy to throw around, but it's so hard to actually do it until you're there and you have to do it.
True.
But at the end of the day, nothing really is certain. We think we have plans. We think we have everything going the way we have it in our heads, but...
And we think we are in control.
We are in control, but ultimately nothing is certain, and every day is a surrender.
Yes. I want to just capture that every day is a surrender in whatever journey that you are in, right? We always say that when you have cancer, you are in God's waiting room. What has this waiting season taught you about your faith, especially the kind that doesn't, perform But as you said nga kanina, when you're with God, you don't perform. You simply just trust, right? What has that season taught you?
You know, it's so hard to trust when you don't know really what's coming for you.
Gusto talaga natin yung, di ba? Parang in the Bible, we want to see the whole staircase. Lord, show me the whole staircase, right? But as you and I know, cancer is not,
It's not.
that.
And I realized that, you know, I was crying that I had cancer at the age of 30s, but now, when I look back, I'm grateful that at my 30s, I have learned to surrender, to, you know, to pray about everything.
Wow.
When the going gets tough, I learn who to go to.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately God, you know, and God wanted me to learn surrender. Hindi kasi siya madali until you really have to do it.
True.
And I think cancer, may choice ka pa ba? Really? Kasi, well, you know what, Miss Chan, let me put it this way. I had this one incident when I sat in my doctor's waiting room. I was thinking about me being a stage 1 cancer patient. And at the other end of the room, there was a stage 4 cancer patient. And I asked myself, was I just happy now and joyful because I knew maganda yung prognosis ko. I was a stage 1A. But what about the stage 4 cancer patient? What if I was in her situation? Would I still be joyful? Would I still be able to surrender to God? And so, sabi ko, Lord, I don't want anymore this, na ang prayer ko lang is, Lord, i-heal mo naman ako. I don't want anymore na ang prayer ko lang ends with, Lord, take this cancer away from me. Don't let it come back. I wanted already a heart that finds joy amidst the circumstance. Despite what I'm going through, despite my prognosis, despite the circumstance na stage 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, because it's easy, you know, to pray for healing, but it's not easy to have a heart that is willing to accept your portion.
Yes.
The plan of God for you.
You know, that's such a beautiful thing that you said that, because I rave about the fact that I'm a fan of this series, The Chosen, right? And people have so many takes on it.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, if it makes people go to their Bible and read or at least open it for the first time in many years, then that show has done its job, right? There was this portion where little James, who was in the character of the Chosen series, he had cerebral palsy. And come the time in the Bible where Jesus was sending the disciples 2 by 2, right? And all he asked was for them not to bring anything except a stick, right? And little James went to Jesus, portrayed by the actor Jonathan Rumi, and asked, how come you're sending me out to heal people when I myself am not healed? I so find the connection in what you're saying, because the answer of Jesus there was, you know that the Father and I can perform miracles, and people will talk about it endlessly, but there are very few people, and you're one of them, that perhaps in this lifetime you won't be healed, but you continue to praise me. You continue to be grateful for your life. And Dr. Aliza, the reason why I'm putting a spotlight to that is there's so many of cancer warriors that have been going through this battle for 3, 4, or 5 years, or even 7, right? And there are moments when
it doesn't seem to make sense.
It doesn't seem to make sense, but they bounce back and continue to praise God. I think just reminding people that just because our prayers are not answered, right? Just because you got the bad kind of cancer, it will stop you from really honoring and praising God.
Yeah. And I realized sometimes it's not about the healing anymore.
It's
'Cause
about the
sometimes,
journey, no?
it becomes, we become so focused already on just the healing,
Outcome,
the
yeah.
outcome. We want to achieve that. But, there's so much more in that journey. The relationship we have with God, with other people. What the cancer journey does to our heart.
And then how it also affects the people around
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah. And I realized, what a gift it was for me as a doctor to have experienced this. Because now when I sit back at the other end, at the other side of the table, now I'm back there. I've been on the other side. And I know how the patient feels. I know that when they sit there, they have fears, they're anxious, they need somebody to listen to them. And that has made me a better doctor. And I would say that experience really changed my practice, really changed how I listen to my patients, how I embrace even their anxieties, their fears, because that's part of what needs to heal
Yes.
in a person. It's not just the disease, it's really the whole person.
Yeah. Which is really what the advocacy of our community, Better
Yeah.
Days, is all about. And this is really something that your husband said too, that your cancer journey totally changed the way he now holds space for patients. Now he takes more time, and now the feeling, the emotion is included in the way he does consults with his patients. Dr. Aliza, in your quietest, most sacred moments, other than surrender, what was the most resounding thing that God has revealed to you?
What I realized in that journey was that He had another purpose for me. It wasn't just about me, learning how to treat patients. He wanted me to really journey with others. That's what He revealed for me at that time, that I gave you cancer. It was stage 1. Now I am cancer-free. But I'm gonna use you. Other women are gonna be journeying with you.
Yeah.
And you will learn how to journey with others too.
Wow.
And so now that I am cancer-free, I'm still on hormonal therapy. I do my surveillance every year, but I'm relatively more relaxed in terms of treatment. So now my advocacy is to journey with other women who are going through the same thing.
Grabe.
Yeah.
Yeah, talagang it will, parang it's a natural reaction, no?
Yeah.
Because you know how hard it is, then you feel the pain of other people, and
Yeah.
you just want to make it a little lighter for them.
And because you also accepted the love of others and God,
You want to be able to
you
pay it
want them to
forward.
experience the same. Yeah.
You've mentioned that you are cancer-free, and we know that as survivors, it doesn't really end there,
It doesn't
right?
end.
Are there still days when you get scared or get fearful? I know days leading to our scans, it's
Yeah.
really a totally different.
It's very emotional.
Yeah. So do you still get those bouts of fear?
Of course, yeah. I think every cancer patient gets that. Every time your scan is around the corner, you think about everything all over again, all the possibilities. So yes, it's still there. And in fact, every time I look at myself in the mirror and I see my, my scar, the scar across my chest, I remember. And I used to think na, Lord, why did you give me something so visible? If I told you that, why did you give me something so physical that I would be reminded every day that cancer happened to me?
Oh my God.
Yeah. But then, I realized na that that physical manifestation, that physical change allows me to remember again and again
Yes.
that nothing is certain. This life is not, within my control.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's God's. And that allows me, to just surrender to Him, my worries, and naalala ko rin how little my problems really are right now, in the greater scheme of things. And
True.
it puts everything into perspective, and it reminds me of the things that really matter.
True. I always knew you were a young cancer warrior when you and I met. But today it just dawned on me that you are still part of the Kaya group. We have a group in the center, and it's also a standalone community called Kaya, Cancer sa Adolescents and Young Adults. That's 15 to 39 years old. So when Dr. Aliza, 2 years ago, up to now, she still belongs to that group, a very young segment. And a lot of them, when they go through cancer, they feel stuck. Or they feel that, like what you said, you were flying happily like a bird and you were shot in midair. So a lot of them, they have this feeling that their life got interrupted. Now, what can you say to your fellow Kayas based on how you navigated through your journey, that you navigated and you got better without being bitter? So what advice can you give them when they feel like their life has been interrupted because of cancer?
Yeah. The good thing about now is that there's a lot of help around. There's you, and there's lots of community. And it really matters who you surround yourself with. The words you hear every day. It matters because that is what you accept. And the good thing about my journey is that I was in, a good church community, and then I was in the Better Days community. And so I was surrounded by very positive people, full of energy and hope, and very prayerful. And so I think that when we journey, we need others with us.
Okay.
We need to journey with others.
It's really power of community and tribe, no?
Yeah. And God doesn't really want us to journey alone. That is why He gives us people who can help us. And now it's much easier because we have the social media. We can get in touch with communities.
There are Zoom classes, right?
Zoom classes, yes. And there are a lot of avenues for us to connect. And my advice really is to stay connected. Don't isolate yourself, because it matters who you journey with.
True.
And sometimes that's the whole point.
Yeah.
The journeying with others is the whole point.
True.
Because God doesn't want us to go through this alone. He wants us to, really experience the whole thing with others, and also hear what other people are going through, so that it kind of puts everything in perspective.
So really lean into community,
Yeah.
right? No. 2 years after you've gone through this whole journey, after you've taken a pause, and then you completed residency, woohoo, passed the boards and everything. What does success mean to you now? Because it has changed over the past 2 years. What does success mean to you now? What does it look like?
The world will give us several meanings for success.
And definitions.
And definitions for success. In the era of social media, that can be like material things, awards, more letters to your name. Yeah.
Maraming after the MD, lahat ng associations nandun, no? Lahat ng additional or continuing studies are there.
Yeah. But now, success to me, it looks very different to me now. It's become really having joy in what I do. It can be, being a full-time mom, again, I realized it can be being a doctor. It can be focusing on arts,
Or you're dancing.
or my dancing. But, the question now for me is, do you find joy in what you do? Because you can have all the money, have all the cars, have all the titles, and not be happy.
True.
And not be joyful. Even happy and joyful, magkaiba na nga siya for me now because happy is transient, but joy is different. It's really
long-lasting.
And it transcends our circumstances.
Yeah.
Pwedeng wala ka masyadong pera, pero you're joyful.
You're joyful.
Pwedeng stage 1 ka, stage 4 ka, stage whatever.
But you're joyful.
But you're joyful. Because, it's something that is really already in you.
Yeah.
That God has given you. It's a gift, really. And for me, it's not anymore the material things. That is well and good. Si Lord naman, He showers us also with those things, diba, to enjoy. But joy now is the meaning of success for me. Joy in what I do. That I feel alive when I do it. Even if there's not much of the material rewards, but I get to connect with my patients, that my patients appreciate that I am there for them. Yeah, so that now is the meaning of success for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really just tells you that those 2 years, God really prepared you for this life.
Yeah.
So you approach it differently.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Aliza, if you were to write a letter to your future self, let's say 10 years from now, sobrang pa rin bata. You will be 45, which is, gosh, I don't want to do the mathematics in my head versus my age. Writing a letter to your older self, what would you want your older self to remember about this season in your life?
Ang hirap. But, what I would really want to always remember here is that God's got you.
Yeah.
You can try to control everything, fix everything, but you are a daughter of God, He knows every cell in your body. He created it. And so, He has promised to take care of you and you're gonna be okay.
That's such a timeless promise
Yeah.
to tell your older self and to tell and share with the audience. And I just want to echo it because it's really beautiful. Every season of your life you're in, especially if you're in your hardest season, God has your back. That's what Dr. Aliza said. And never ever forget, you are His daughter. So, fix your crown, wear it proudly.
Yeah.
As we close, what's one truth you hold on when things feel uncertain? Because I'm sure life is not perfect
It's
now,
not,
right?
yeah.
It has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Probably the face of the problem just changes, but life is not perfect. But what's one thing true that you continuously hold on when uncertain times comes?
I have this favorite quote by an Australian preacher. He said, God is never asleep at the wheel. In everything that happens, He has either done it, allowed it to happen, or He has stopped it. Everything comes down to one of those things. I love that quote.
Can you repeat that? So God is not asleep.
He's never asleep,
He's never
at, the
asleep
wheel.
at the wheel when He's driving your life.
Yes.
He's either stopped it,
Allowed it to happen. Or He has done it.
or He has done it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a beautiful closing. Thank you so much, Dr. Aliza. You've given me, para hindi kami nag-uusap parate, you've given me so much. You've given our audience so much wisdom through the experience that you went through. Today's conversation with Dr. Aliza reminded us that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is not to finish, but to pause not to force the path, but to surrender to something greater than our plans. So here are the 3 lessons to hold close wherever you are in your own journey. Delay is not denial. Sometimes God's not yet is the kindest protection, a sacred invitation to grow roots before bearing fruit. Trust the stillness, trust the timing. Number 2, your worth is not in your timeline. You are not behind. You are becoming. Every detour, every delay may be the very place your soul needed to breathe and expand, as what happened to Dr. Aliza. So let go of that finish line or that imaginary deadline. Number 3, surrender. While it is hard, is strength. Letting go of control doesn't make us weak. It makes space for healing, for peace, and it really makes space for divine redirection. In surrender, we meet grace. And maybe you're not late. You're right on time for the life you're really meant to live. You're not late. You're just on heaven's clock. Thank you for joining us today on the Life Doula podcast. This space is where we hold the tension of it all, pain and purpose, heartbreak and hope, delays and divine timing. If this conversation reminded you that surrender isn't weakness, but deep wisdom, if it made you breathe easier knowing you're not behind, if it nudged you just to trust the pause or loosen your grip just a little, and maybe, just maybe, you're not late. You're right on time for the life you're really meant to live. Until next time, take heart, take rest, and remember, healing isn't a detour from life. It is life.